The Gilded Age Season 3, Episode 7, Excommunicated, has more drama than ever after John Adams' unexpected death in Episode 6. Oscar is not the only one in mourning. Marian has called off her engagement to Larry. Bertha and George are still at odds, and society is barely surviving, as Agnes puts it. The most recent episode of the historical drama gives the characters emotional stakes while exposing society's hypocrisy. The penultimate episode of Season 3 builds up an amazing finish with another cliffhanger and increasing tension in each plotline. When Ward McAllister, the right-hand man of Mrs. Astor, produces a book titled Society as I Have Found It that exposes every controversy for everyone to read, New York society is plunged into anarchy. Everyone finds the topic offensive, even though he doesn't mention identifying names. Both Oscar's orientation and Agnes' financial loss are alluded to, and McAllister doesn't even spare his own friends. Bertha is worried about the suggestion that she and George are unsatisfied, avaricious, and stupid. But the worst part comes when McAllister betrays Mrs. Astor by spreading the word about her daughter Charlotte's affair, for which her husband has filed for divorce. To McAllister's surprise, Mrs. Astor teams up with Bertha, Agnes, Ada, and Mrs. Fish to exclude him from society. In a breathtaking scene, McAllister confronts Mrs. Astor, claiming to have shaped society and made her the leader she is. However, the fight only serves to further cement their irreversible split as abrasive words are exchanged. But their conversation puts Mrs. Astor in a precarious situation. Mrs. Astor declines to host her Newport gala because she is unwilling to welcome her daughter due to her divorce and cannot leave her off the guest list. Rather, Bertha is given the opportunity to lead the eagerly awaited event. However, she intends to make a significant shift by inviting divorced women, which she believes will increase awareness of the idea. McAllister meets with Bertha in the hopes that he will be invited as well, but Bertha declines, claiming he made his own decisions. Despite ruling society, Bertha's domestic life is not as ideal. She is ignored by George and Larry when she informs them of her chance, and despite her repeated claims that she has reconciled with Gladys, George refuses to forgive her or even relocate back home. For Bertha, who is now being held accountable for her misdeeds, it is a meaningless win. But as Gladys finally takes charge of her circumstances, she is thriving in contrast to her mother. The new husband and wife are closer than ever despite Hector being warned that she would lose her dowry. Gladys is pleased when Hector starts to show her affectionate gestures, when Hector defends her to his sister Sarah and even offers that Sarah move to London completely, thus pushing her out. Things take an even better turn. Gladys will undoubtedly face other difficulties, but the largest one appears to have been lifted, possibly providing her and Hector with a chance of happiness. The press has been covering the Russell residence non-stop throughout Season 3, and someone within the house has been providing the media with information. Church had finally figured out the solution at Bertha's request. Church fabricates a story to support Mrs. Bruce's claim that Miss Andra had access to the information. Even though Borden, Church, and Bruce almost lose sight of Andra, Church witnesses her meeting a man and leaving with an envelope. Andra admits to making money off of the Russells' secrets when they confront her. Bertha's misfortune with ladies' maids continues with Andra's dismissal, but at least one issue is resolved. Oscar is in a tough spot following that horrific death in the last episode because the truth about his relationship with John Adams was kept a secret, which keeps him from grieving in public as he should. Meeting with John's sister, Mrs. Bell, who is aware of their relationship and discloses how much John loved Oscar, gives him some solace. Nevertheless, she adds that Oscar was left his summer residence by John. Although Oscar's family finds it difficult to comprehend his sorrow, Marian reminds Agnes of all that John accomplished to assist Oscar in starting over. Marian later comforts Oscar by telling him that she knew the truth about his and John's connection. Although Oscar deserves far better than this fresh tragedy after making a significant stride in the previous episode by forgiving Maud Beaton, his tragic response to the loss gives the character even more nuance and strengthens his and Marian's relationship. Agnes has been unhappy about her changing status in society after losing her fortune for the majority of Season 3, frequently arguing with Ada over money. However, Episode 7 takes an unexpected turn when she starts receiving letters from a Mrs. Foster of the New York Heritage Society. Ada volunteers to organize a last-minute suffrage meeting Marian needs with Frances Ellen Watkins Harper, which allows Mrs. Foster to introduce herself to Agnes. Mrs. Foster is difficult to get rid of even when Agnes tries to blow off the woman. Mrs. Foster is an intriguing, if unintentional, target, and although Agnes is still furious about her limited role in society, it's nice to have her energy focused somewhere other than Ada. Larry brings positive news back from Morenci in Episode 7. He finds that the mines are worth tens of millions of dollars and are rich in copper, in addition to having acquired them as George requested. Since the copper can be used to restore his father's shares and preserve his agreement with the Merricks, Larry's success resolves the family's financial difficulties. However, Marian's letter terminating their engagement is waiting for Larry, so he doesn't get any positive news in return. Etta is the one who speaks to him when he tries to speak with her. Etta is empathetic, but she doesn't give a cause for Marian's breakup, and Larry won't accept it. Larry accuses Marian of meddling when Bertha places the responsibility on her when he tells his parents the news. Even though this is untrue, Bertha's record is not exactly favorable, and Larry decides to leave Bertha alone in the club because he is upset with his mother. Ada, meanwhile, makes an effort to persuade Marian on Larry's behalf, but is unyielding. When Larry visits Marian's school to obtain an explanation, he finds out that she found out where he went. Larry claims he did nothing more than have a drink when she accuses him of visiting a place of ill repute. Marian, however, cannot accept Larry's justification because his deception has damaged her faith in him. However, after sticking by Larry's side the whole time, Jack later verifies his account. The fact that Marian is now aware of the truth is a positive step, but it does not ensure that their disagreement will be healed. Peggy and William Kirkland have been romantically involved throughout Season 3, and things appear to be going well, particularly after William offers to take her to an upcoming ball, but his mother, Mrs. Kirkland, disapproves. Mrs. Kirkland quickly tells William that half-story, making it appear even worse after learning that Peggy was spotted in Philadelphia grieving for her son. William goes straight to Peggy to hear her side of the story, even though she says that Peggy must have purposefully chosen not to tell him the truth. Without the full tale, Peggy's past does not appear to be positive, but William responds to the issue in a responsible manner. Nevertheless, Mrs. Kirkland's current attempt to ruin her son's relationship only serves to increase her dislikability. George meets with Clay and Risley Sage to celebrate his triumph following Larry's revelation. He reveals his new funding source and declares that his agreement with the Merricks is complete. Sage dismisses Clay because he is furious that George controls the Chicago Railroad, and George threatens to destroy him as well because he is resentful of the betrayal. George gains a new foe as a result, but matters worsen when a delivery man shoots him inside his workplace. The episode creates suspense for the conclusion by leaving George's fate up in the air.